Welcome to the Become Sensible podcast, where we discuss practical accounting, finance, and tax for everyday business. I'm your host, Fiona, and I'm here to show you that no matter what your business financial situation is, you can change it. What's up, and welcome back to the podcast. Today's guest is someone who has spent the last 2 decades leading the high-performance team and deliver results across the public sectors and private sector. Paul Blackman is the founder and the managing principal of Trusted Advisory Group, where the company has been delivers projects and construction management and real estate advisory for public sectors like healthcare, higher educations, and real estate development and multi-member family management. And over the last 5 years, the Trusted have delivered great results for numerous clients in Washington, D.C. Before started the Trusted Advisory, Paul was appointed by the mayor's browsers as the deputy director of DC General Service, where he managed more than 120 people, with delivered more than 400 projects with the assets more than $4 billion. And before that, he was executive at JLL's, where it's one of the largest real estate investment company in the world, and delivered a result for the public and nonprofits client. Beyond the boardroom, Paul is a dedicated husband and father for three daughters, and also a member of faculty for Georgetown University, and also an active board member of organizations that promote both real estate development leadership and even like the preservation of Charles here in Washington, D.C. And he also an avid boxing fan, a committed person to health, faith, and daily discipline. Today, we are going to talk about what really takes to lead at the scale and what's most part of myths about building a strong organization, how Trusted Advisory Group is helping business and institution grow with clarity and purpose. So let's dive in and welcome Paul to the podcast.
Thank you, Fiona. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Yes. And so before we talk about all the amazing things that your company is doing, just share with us how everything started. What was the moment that you decided to found the company Trusted Advisory Group?
So thank you for that question. I have always had a passion for entrepreneurship from my days in college. I was a barber in the dorm. I cut hair.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't really have a way to display my work on myself, but I cut hair. I had a clothing line. We threw parties, a lot of different things in college. And then even after college, I had things that I did outside of my 9-to-5 doing construction work. So I've always been interested in business. I think the catalyst, though, for Trusted Advisory Group, for about 15 years or so, I was in the private sector and working with some of the best companies in the region and the country internationally as well. And then I worked in local government.
Yeah.
And I saw that private sector it's a bottom line driven framework. It's about profitability, margins, et cetera, where government isn't necessarily as focused. There's more of a value on impact and the greater good and things of that nature. And so the two worlds, even though I spent 20 years here in DC doing the same type of work, it's two different categories of companies that work in those spaces generally. There's some that cross over that are the large companies, but I saw a gap in the proficiency, efficiency, effectiveness that the private sector brings versus kind of the government, and having the context around how to solve for government value proposition while also keeping in mind the private sector value proposition. So the two of those coming together, I thought, created value in a lot of different ways. And it aligned with my passion of the entrepreneurship that I had since I was a kid, and also saw for making an impact on my community as a father, as a native of the area. My great-grandparents are born and raised in Washington, D.C. Being able to impact the community was also very important. So I saw this opportunity to start the company as a way to solve for so many different things. And kind of, they say work-life balance. It was kind of like your work becomes your life. Your work becomes your life's work. And I think that's where I am in life, is that I don't want to go to the office and be one person and then come home and be another person. I want to be kind of the same.
Yeah, it's
places.
like, I understand it. This is called integrated. If you see Paul here, it's the same Paul everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
to a degree, right?
Yes,
Like when I'm with the kids and the wife, it's a little different than when I'm in the office, but the things that I care about as far as making an impact and bringing value to my clients, the same way I want to pour into my family and make sure that I'm making an impact with their present and their future. So philosophically, it's the same.
So what was the problem that you tried to solve that no one was solving at that time?
Yeah, I think it's really just that piece of, as a consultant, you're supporting a client. You've never necessarily been in the client's shoes. And so being in the client's shoes and seeing how it works from both sides, I just think how you approach the work is different. And so that's really what we solve for. When I go to my clients, I know exactly what it is that they're dealing with, whether they articulate it or they don't, right? And so I think we can come to the table and really figure out a solution that solves for the stated challenge, but also some things that may not necessarily be stated.
Yeah.
And create a outcome, but also a journey to that outcome, right? Because all projects get done.
Yeah.
But some get done and you never want to do the project that way again. And then some get done and you want to keep doing projects like that every time. So we try to create a process that allows for the latter option, where the journey and the process of our services and getting through the project was so seamless. So we're focused on the journey. We're not focused on, we can get it done and you'll be miserable for however long the project takes. Like, it's going to get done. You're going to have a confidence level of where we are and what to expect every step of the way.
Yeah. I remember one time you told me the way that you do really well, your team do really well, is like when clients say something very abstract and you make it become precisely what was the step, what is the timeline, and how you will deliver it. It's like more accurate and more reliable than necessarily a little bit based.
Yeah.
And I think like in construction, that's a very important thing.
100%.
Yeah, because people have so much capital and finance into the process, and it's like without someone having the expert how to make things to be like precisely delivery.
Yeah.
That's the same clients so much of the money.
Exactly. And I think you're saying it even more specifically than what I said. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. And so the risk that you have to manage on top of all of the things that come up during the project that can be aggravating, frustrating, they can create unreadiness, right?
Yeah.
And you may have operations that are being impacted. So not only the capital that's going in, but then maybe your operations as a business that actually helps you to generate the money that you have accumulated to do the project in the first place. So having that level of certainty and understanding how to manage and balance and mitigate risks that work for that particular client, not from our perspective or what we did in the past, but to customize that approach is really the value.
Yeah, that's just wonderful. So what does it look like early in the day? Is it scrappy, smoothly, or a little bit chaotic? Like, we all entrepreneur, we know the day one, how we look like.
Day one just looks like chaos. You get excited, you got a name, you got an EIN number, right? You go and buy like a new laptop or something and, you know, hey, I'm open for business and it's exciting. And then you're watching the numbers, right? Because when you first start, it's like, okay, can I support myself?
Yeah.
Right? And if you can support yourself, that's a big accomplishment. Then it's like, okay, I just gave myself a job.
Yes.
And you're just working. Like, I'm in business, but I'm doing a lot more work than I was doing when I had a job. Maybe not in my case, because my job prior to was almost 24/7 around the clock, but it felt heavier because it was just me.
Yeah.
You know, my previous role, I had a team of over 100 people and I had a lot of support. The early days were around the clock with nowhere to delegate. I did have an executive assistant who helped me tremendously to do things like setting up the back office and all that. So you were juggling client support on projects, but then also you're trying to build, do the administrative stuff and figure out how to set up the accounting systems and email addresses and all of the stuff. So it was a bit crazy, but it was well worth the early day struggle to get it set up quickly versus delaying it and then having even more of a challenge later when you really need it. Otherwise you fail, right? So we focused on building all of the infrastructure as soon as possible. So we got that out the way early.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I understand it's like suddenly you expert in project management for construction. Now you need to be expert in everything.
Exactly.
Like from customer service to sales to accounting to what is this about tax filing and then marketing and then like managing like
and insurance, and all of these different fees you got to pay. And it's like, wait a minute.
Why I'm getting into this.
Exactly.
But you probably, like people say, like the people that who enjoy entrepreneur, even though it's challenging, but if you enjoy it, you actually have a certain personality characteristics that make you feel enjoying. Do you think so too?
I think that if you pick the right thing, right? I think if you pick the right thing and you really have a real sense of what it takes to secure work and to deliver work. I think people get an idea because people reach out to me and I take meetings and I give advice and stuff to people. And I think that sometimes people's expectations of how you make money might not necessarily be aligned with the service and then the back office and how you grow a company. So I think if your goal is to be self-employed, then it's fine. But if your goal is to create a company, there's a big challenge with understanding what it means to set up a company and what your role is versus what your team's role will be. But if you go in understanding what that is 100%, because now you can have a multiplier effect and be great and help people in process to be great in the growth.
Yes. And then like tell me a little bit, what was like the first big moment or first big client project that you say, okay, that's it? This is really working.
Yeah, that's a great question. So my first big thing that really I felt like the vision is being realized was a client. So we do a lot of work with brokers. And so there was a broker that we know in the marketplace that introduced us to an opportunity. The opportunity was a multiple facility construction project for a client. And we were working with one of the top architects in the market. We were working with one of the top general contractors in the market, and we were working alongside another very well-respected developer. So when you looked at the team of folks around the table, they were all A-list vendors, and then it was us. And I'm like, oh, our name's in there too. And so it felt really cool. The project was a very well-known project. And in DC, there's an organization called the DC Economic Partnership. And they publish every year material that talks about activity in real estate and development. So they kind of rank the top projects, like the top, 25 projects that are happening in the city in various categories. And one of the categories, that project was in the top 5 or top 10 or something like that. And so I was like, yeah. That's our project. So that was super exciting. It was our first project that we took from conception all the way to close out. It was in a prominent building downtown with prominent players, and it was one of the biggest projects going on in the city at the time.
Congratulations.
So thank you.
So what did that moment that like teach you about that when like you suddenly make it to the A list, that whether you realize this or not, like before, like you wouldn't believe that you would be like in this, like all on the same table with these people, because maybe the history, like they bigger size company or whatever is the reason. But then in that wing, what teach you about the lesson in terms of entrepreneurs?
I think the lesson I learned is to always value relationships. At the end of the day, it's about the people. Everybody that was around that table, even though they were A-list entities, they were people that I knew and worked with in the past. I had no idea in some cases that I was going to start down a full-time entrepreneurship journey, but I treat them with respect. And I made sure that we did good business together. So when my name was at the table for this project, they already knew my character. They knew how I conducted business. And so there wasn't ever a situation where we were at the table, but we weren't really seen as bringing value to the table because we were.
Yeah.
I think to me, it felt good to get the project, but then it also felt good to create value and be a part of the brain trust that actually led the project to its completion. We were consulted for advice by folks around that table. And of course, the client. Sometimes the client hires you and you still got to fight with the stakeholders that are on the team. And that was not the case. It was a very smooth project. We had challenges. We talked through it. We figured it out.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we delivered. I think the relationship piece was so important because without that, maybe that would have been not such a great thing at the end of the day, because we got the project, but the experience that happened with the project was not good. And so now that A list of people, like, they're not good.
Yeah.
We don't want to work with them anymore, but that wasn't the case. So we're still working with several, actually, of those partners on projects today. And that project was 3 or so years ago. So relationships, I think, is the most important piece.
And I think that's a wonderful thing to say too. I think that sometimes being entrepreneur in business, people say, oh, I do great work. My delivery is wonderful. I have experience. I have expertise. But then if you don't have the factor of like relationship with people and you cannot work well with other people, then the thing that your talent and your skill cannot be like multiplied.
That's right.
Because people cannot work with you. They're like, we rarely work alone in any way.
Right.
Then that is a different thing. But I think that's a very important point.
Yeah, I think life is hard enough with no obstacles created, but when you create more obstacles, then you make it even more tough. And time, and in addition to relationships, I would just say the value of time.
Yes.
And so with every complexity, you add time.
Yes.
Right? Because you got to fix something.
Yes.
Because it's complicated. And now you got to figure out how to unwind something. So that's time.
Yes.
And it equates to money, but it also just equates to like your life,
energy.
right?
Yeah.
And what you spend your time to do, the time 24 hours in a day, they're not creating more. I mean, who knows? Maybe somebody will figure out a new way to calculate minutes. But at this point, we don't think that's in our generation, maybe, but it's 24 hours. And so when you talk about when we started with family, and if you have civic engagements or volunteer obligations in some sort of fashion, that takes you away from that, or it takes away the energy because you're frustrated with unwinding and fixing things that were unnecessary. Now you're not where you need to be for these other things that you have to do, or even within your company, dealing with your team or dealing with things that have to happen. So being able to value time and understanding how the value of relationships helps the value of time and the quality of life, and all of it's connected.
Yeah, right? It's like I say, it's integrated. Yeah, people can like divide it for many different things, but I think like the way that sometimes I think about like people say work-life balance as if like they divide work and life. Mm-hmm. But if you actually integrate the whole process, that the people around you, your family, your team, the people you work with, your client team, it's as if like an integrated system. And you don't want to break it down so that it's like spill over the other thing.
Yeah, I think to me, for most of my career, I've kind of been at a place where you're spending a ton of time at work.
Yeah.
And you're meeting people, working with people, and going through challenges with people. A majority of your life is spent there.
Yes.
And so if you're doing something that feels like it's not in alignment with your life or your values or where you want to spend your time, then you do kind of have to separate work and life, because you need to have a relief.
Yeah.
Because it's so stressful or so heavy or whatever. But if your work is like, hey, this is what I do, I can put myself into this work and I can receive a psychological reward beyond just money. Yeah. Right? Then it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to spend this much of my day here, and then I'm coming and I'm spending my day there with these people versus these people, right? So I've always kind of had, like you say, that work life is, just make sure that your work is something that aligns with what's important to you. And if you enjoy what you do, you're really not working. You're just kind of contributing your time towards accomplishing something with a group of people that you work with, versus spending your time relaxing or eating with family or whatever, fellowshipping. Right?
Yeah. So. Yeah. This is great. I mean, like, if you think back for winning that big client, if someone is listening right now, another entrepreneur, and they're thinking, working their way to like win big client, what is your advice to them?
From a service business standpoint, I
Yes.
think there's a couple of things. One is know what you can do and be honest with that.
Yes.
Fully understand your
That's so
capabilities
true.
and your limitations.
Yes.
Because you only really get it one chance if you get it.
Yes.
And if you represent something that doesn't really align with what you can do,
Yeah.
then your credibility gets hit.
Yeah.
And once your credibility is hit, it's difficult to recover from that. So I think that's the first thing is like really do an honest assessment of what you have the capability and the capacity to do.
Yeah.
And if the big assignment that you're looking to do exceeds that,
Yeah.
then maybe you look for a partner that can supplement
Yeah.
you, et cetera, so that now you're going in with a fully comprehensive solution that you can actually execute.
Yeah.
And then if you have that full assessment of what you can do, your capabilities, and you can actually deliver on that, it's relationships and ensuring that you can convey successfully to the decision makers, to the influencers, and up and down the line of whatever that organization is, what that capability is. And then understand the market context of what it takes to compete.
Yeah.
And so if you bring value and you know that you're not the only one that can perform this work, how do you separate yourself?
Yeah.
What is the market going to suggest should be the solution? How does your solution measure up to that? And then it doesn't always come down to money, but you still have to have a context of what
Yes.
that fee or that cost should look like.
Yeah.
So you can make the decision around the quality versus quantity.
Yeah.
Because if you're selling on price,
You
that
may
could
not
be-
deliver the result
that's right.
as its
Yeah.
expectations.
So value proposition has to be
Yeah.
very clear on a big project. Now, some big projects, they just go on price, and you got to
Yeah.
figure out if it's, I want this big project. I'm not necessarily looking to make a lot of money because now it puts me in another
Yeah.
marketing space that otherwise I would not be able to enter. And so maybe that's worth it to
Yeah.
say, you know what, I'm going to compete on price. My margin's going to be razor thin, but our presence in the market now is going to be a lot better and further than it would be. And then maybe that's a strategy. So understanding your strategy as to what is important in that particular project, what you want to get out of it, after you understand that you can actually execute it well and convey successfully to the folks that you're presenting to, from the decision maker to the influencer and other stakeholders, that you can convey that.
Basically, like, know what is your strength, know your market, and deliver what you promise.
Absolutely.
And like understand the market's landscape that you are in, and then
Absolutely.
compete in the way that you like valuable for you, but also for your client, and get the position right in that time.
Absolutely.
So tell me where Justice Advisory Group is today, and what does the stage look like you like from the inside of the company?
I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier about work-life balance,
Okay.
right? So when the company was started, what did it look like in the beginning? So it looked
Yeah.
like the middle of the pandemic when we started the company. So we didn't really know what the world was going to evolve to or not evolve to from that point in time. But what I did know is that there was a reset in the terms of people understanding that life is short.
Yeah.
People
yeah.
were dying in big numbers.
Yeah.
And there was no real way to know how to protect yourself in certain
Yeah.
cases because there was a lot of random things that were tied to COVID.
Yeah.
And so having meaning in your work became an important thing.
Yes.
Having the balance,
Yeah.
right? And the balance kind of came with meaning. If you were doing something meaningful, it didn't feel like you were just making somebody rich or whatever, spending your time in a suboptimal way.
Yeah.
And so our value proposition was we're a small company.
Yeah.
So you get access to me. And before, when I was in my previous role, I had all of these
Never.
staff members.
Yeah.
I delegated a lot. I didn't get FaceTime with most of my team because there wasn't enough time to do that.
Yeah.
So in this particular environment, the team was small. We had to work together. We were shoulder to shoulder in some cases. So to me, the value proposition and what it looked like internally was you're going to do meaningful work. So our core focus, and still to this day, is no matter where you fall on the political, demographic spectrum, everybody should have a place to live.
Yes.
Everybody should be safe.
Yes.
Everybody should be healthy.
Safe.
And
Yeah.
everybody should learn.
Yes.
So with those four categories, we focused on those asset classes that help facilitate that. So public safety, we do police departments and different things with first responders. We do hospital, healthcare work, multifamily, construction, project management work, and we work with higher education institutions. Also, when we talk about multifamily, we're doing stuff with housing authorities as well as private sector developers, affordable housing, et cetera. Every day you leave the house and see a first responder trying to keep the community safe. You know that you're helping them.
Yeah.
If you see somebody sick or an ambulance, you know, hey, you know what? I'm helping the first responder, but I'm also helping the patient that's going to the hospital because we're helping build medical facilities, babies are being born, et cetera, schools and education. And, you know, if you see people out on the street homeless, it's like, okay, we'll be building affordable public housing. So that was really what it looked like, was we are making an impact in our community when everybody's scared about COVID and scared about all the things that are taking place in the world at that time. It was very complicated, but we saw ourselves as part of the solution. We were very collaborative. We still are. And the culture is connected. The culture is technical expertise. Everybody's a leader in the organization. So it's an expectation that when you're in a project meeting or wherever you are a leader and you affect positive outcomes, whether it's sitting in a meeting, making meeting minutes, putting budgets together, or whether it's leading a client through a project details or coordinating project stakeholders, there's leadership in all of those things. And so we saw ourselves as an incubator of folks who care about the community, care about our clients, care about our city, and eventually we'll be doing stuff more regionally and we'll be caring about other cities and other states and things of that nature, and continuous improvement, right? Because the world is evolving. Now we got things going on with the administration that's changing the landscape in a lot of different ways in the market, right?
Yes.
So we got that, and then we got stuff like AI coming. What we were a year ago is not what we are today. And what we're going to be next year is not what we are today, right? So we're always looking, but there's fundamentals that will always be true.
Yeah.
And so that's really what it looks like.
I didn't have a chance to read the statistics about the number of companies started during the COVID, but I know there were a ton of company and business started during the COVID year because suddenly everyone worked from home.
Right.
They suddenly have more time, or their value system changed. They don't want to work for someone else 40 hours per week. They want to use that time to do the work that they think this has real impact, and they have a passionate about that, and make a living from that too. It's just more like the value system change.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say it changed for me, but it really helped me to focus on that aspect of the work I was doing, because right before I started the company, my role with the district government, I had to put a phone call into the chief medical examiner's office because I'm looking at the news to figure out what we should be doing, because there's so many things happening so fast. So I'm reading things like Engineer News Report, so many different publications, and we're just getting data. But one thing was, in New York, I'll never forget this, there were like 400 people dying a day.
Yeah.
And so I had to call the chief medical examiner and say, what is DC's projections for the mortality rate tied to COVID? And so they had a number, and we had to supply generators and facilities because the mortuary did not have the capacity. And so we were doing stuff like that. We were converting the convention center the same way New York converted their convention center to a surge hospital. We were doing that.
Oh.
I was negotiating.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we were negotiating a hospital deal, which just got finished this past spring. We were negotiating that. So there was a lot of late nights and overnights and this weekends and everything, really trying to solve for what might happen in the city.
Yeah.
And so I realized, like, wow, I don't watch a lot of TV or movies, but I used to watch 24.
Uh-huh.
I felt like Jack Bauer. Like, I would wake up and I would hear the little beep noise, beep, beep, because it was just like, I don't know what's about to happen, but we got to take action. And I think that dynamic played out for me pretty much from March 2018 when we got word the pandemic was about to happen to when I left, right? And so that kind of carried through to Trusted Advisory Group, because I understand when you're trying to solve and create impact in a positive way for a community, you have to be serious about it. You have to be thoughtful about it. You have to be innovative about it. It's just applying what I used in my private sector experience, just in a little bit of a different way.
Yeah. What you do is amazing.
Thank you.
When I learned that you need to do those things, but then also like it just give you an experience and probably it's change the chemistry in your brain. How much of the urgency and the importance of the work that you do need to create the impact too. And that's maybe like bringing to your new company that is like, okay, there's urgency in the work that I do.
Absolutely. And it's always been an urgency, but I think the urgency was driven by the bottom line.
Yeah.
So when you do the real estate development finance, and when you do finance in general, right, the time horizon, how quickly you make your returns is important.
Yes.
Your returns start to diminish the longer it takes. So that drives the private sector construction. And then in the public sector, while that's still important because governments borrow money and have similar financial obligations, there's still another set of values that are important to accomplish. And so I think that part, which is what is special, I think, about us, that we care about what's helping the greater good, right? And so there's big projects that we're hoping to be involved in going forward that have a similar dynamic. We're excited about the future.
This is wonderful. Tell me a little bit, like, what is the hardest part for you to move from like a founders, just only you started, and to like to be a company that is working to scale the team and scale the company?
It's a privilege to be able to have the opportunity to do something like this in a market that logically didn't make sense for me to do. And I think at this point, I call myself a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, because it's like I just throw myself into these challenges.
Yeah.
I'm thoughtful about it because I have obligations and responsibilities that I have to take care of at home. So it's not reckless, but it's also like, I believe in myself.
Yes,
right?
and you have a self-trust.
And I'm stubborn. Like when I get a vision, I'm embracing the term visionary more, because I used to be so focused on execution, and my reputation was tied to, did I get it done?
Yeah, right. I mean, of course, like project management, that's just the thing. This is the
that
first.
was the badge of honor. How hard was the project? Did you get it done successfully? Right. That was how I measured myself. But I think that's still in my DNA. But I think now there's also this visionary piece that says, this is possible. And I don't need validation from anybody. I've confirmed it. I've figured out a way. I have a path forward as to how it can be achieved, and we go after it, right? And I think there's several things that when I was an employee that we did to help me get confidence in being able to realize visions and leveraging leadership and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And now with trust, it's like, that I'm responsible now for vision, right?
Yeah.
So
and then for the team, like they depends on you. And I think when you manage multiple people and you become the leader, the CEO of the company, you become the only person that knows so many parts, because you consolidate all the information together.
Yeah.
And so that is the direction of thing, the vision the company will take.
But what's cool though, in addition to that, Fiona, is being able to put a team of people in the room together and hear them and get ideas. Like I was in a meeting yesterday with my team and, I kind of said, hey, this is where we want to go in this particular area.
Yeah.
And then I got quiet. And then they were talking and collaborating, and you saw light bulbs going off around the table. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? That's great, because we can do this. So even more fun than just kind of sitting in a room quietly coming up with it is like sitting in a room, dropping the pebble in the pond, and then watching the ripples.
Oh,
right?
To make that beautiful image.
And that's, to me, the opportunity and the privilege is, I'm a big leadership fan, and 5 Levels of Leadership is a book that I go back to all the time. And so I'm looking to be a level 5 leader every day. And I'm not there, and I'm on the path to try to get there. For me, it's really trying to pull myself out of the equation and put somebody else into it, as much as I can responsibly, right?
Yeah.
Stretching other people. So I think that to be able to do that in such a small organization is really cool.
Yeah.
And hopefully eventually, every time you look back, it's a bigger company, but still remains true to the DNA that we started with.
Yeah.
With a fold-out table and a laptop in the middle of the pandemic, putting masks on.
I love your team. Anytime I come to your office, it's like it's great environment, and it's like your team so much.
And we'd love to have you over.
What did you think like the number one blind spot for owners or the CEO of the company?
Oh my gosh.
We all have.
Number one, I don't know how to say number one. I could tell you it's probably 25 or 30 of them. Man, the number one blind spot. I think the number one blind spot is just really going back to the last point, right? It's not hearing from other people.
Yes.
Right? Like having a feedback loop, because sometimes as business owners, you feel responsible. Not sometimes, you always feel responsible, but sometimes that level of responsibility makes you inflexible. And it makes it hard for you to hear from others because you may perceive that they don't have the same level of risk that they're taking. They don't have the same responsibility that you do to make sure that people get paid and that their lives are not, that there's stability.
Yeah.
But I think when you are growing, you have to listen to other people, and you have to create an environment where people feel comfortable. You always have to hold the line and do the things that you know as a steward of the company have to be done. But I think there's things, because even from a service delivery standpoint, if you're not listening to the team, there could be clues that they don't understand what the implications are. So if you're not in the feedback loop of some of that stuff, there may be a project going away or an opportunity you can hop on if you hear a comment that somebody made in a meeting, right? So I think that there's a lot of value in making sure that that feedback loop stays consistent. And then I think just from a culture standpoint, that's important. From a leadership standpoint, you create opportunities for people to manage up. Yeah. And the more you see that now, hey, you know what? I've been noticing that they care about this person, probably should be elevated in some capacity.
Yeah.
Given more responsibility or given a niche or whatever the case may be. So I think that to me is a big one. I mean, there's so many though, Fiona. I mean, gosh.
I remember I read the book from one of the interview from Ray Dalio.
Oh, my gosh. Principles.
Yes, the principle. And he say like back in 1985 or whatever the years, that he lost all the money and he has to borrow $5,000 from his dad because he just has a newborn son. And he lost all the money. Then he aware that he has the bias and has the blind spot. So he makes sure that he hired the people who have a different opinion than him and create the environment, the culture, that people can say what they need to say so that he can prevent the same thing, mistake.
Yeah, because that was the baseball cards, right? Like baseball cards of like what the qualities of the leadership team need to be complimentary. That's right. I forgot that story, but and it's hard to do that, right? It's hard to recruit for that.
Yeah.
Right.
And like that also like our own self-development, because how we can like just like silence our opinion to listen to other people's perspective is not easy at all.
Right. I just finished Buy Back Your Time. In the last few chapters of it, it talks about sitting down with everybody on the team to get their feedback.
Yeah.
Whether they're high performers, low performers, or otherwise.
Yes.
And understanding their vantage point.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how hard it could be to get feedback from somebody that may not be a high performer, but it's still important for you to understand that vantage point because it's still a part of the team,
the
right?
ecosystem.
And, absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me, for your work, this has like a lot of like high quality deliver, high trust requirement. So how you actually balance between the high trust and also like growing the company? Because like if you like your qualities is so perfect, But then you don't have enough time and resource to like finish this in the way that efficient for your client and also for your team.
That's a wonderful question. Very complicated answer. I think as smart as entrepreneurs and even non-entrepreneurs, experts can present themselves.
Yeah.
It comes down to time and chance to me.
Yes.
Because when you're pricing a job, and it's construction or real estate development or any category that ties to delivering projects.
Yeah.
There's always uncertainty. There's always risk. There's always something that's going to happen. There's no way to know exactly how it's going to go. However, with a certain amount of experience and acumen and relationships, you can smooth the curve to a degree.
Yeah.
And so having that data, understanding and adjusting your approaches according to that data, I think is a key way to understand your delivery, pros and cons, evaluating your financial outcomes as a result of that. And then just kind of course correcting or continuing forward where you did great.
Yeah.
And then having a level of filter as a part of your process going forward. And if you have a client that happens to be that perfect data point, figuring out how to expand that with that particular client or finding somebody that's similar to that. But I think in the absence of having enough past performance data, it's really about ensuring that you have a market context and enough connectivity in the marketplace, because everybody has a bad day.
Yeah.
Right. And
so many things is out of control.
And so being able to call over to one of the project stakeholders that may not be your client, but it may be the contractor, it may be the design team, it may be the permit office people, it may be so many different people. But if you have relationships there and you're having a bad day, but they know what you're typically doing and you're looking out for the best interest of the project and not trying to push somebody down and lift yourself up. Sometimes people make concessions for you to allow for a project to, even though in most scenarios this would have been a disaster, now you've been able to mitigate that challenge and still be able to get through the project with some money left over or enough to get through it. So I think it's a combination of ensuring that you're prepared and being diligent on the front end, and also as you're kind of working through the project and the process, ensuring that you have great communication and connectivity to those who are influencing the outcome.
Yeah. Oh, I think like the work that you do like relate to the government is a lot of factor playing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the ability to connect all these things is actually really hard.
Yeah, it's dynamic. It's very dynamic. But if it was easy, then we would be a commodity player, and that's not the space we're designed to play in. So we always value the dynamic. It could be stressful sometimes, a lot of times, but having the right perspective. I was told a problem well framed is half solved.
Yes.
And so just coming to the problem with the right context is most of the challenge. And so that's really where we create the value, is just understanding what the specific problem is so that we're attacking the right thing.
Yeah.
Versus just jumping into something and you find out later you jumped in and you went down this path and it's like, I done went all the way down this path and the problem is still the same way it was when we started. So I think that is a big piece of it.
Yeah. Okay, that's just wonderful advice. So what is like the mistake that many entrepreneurs that scaling from 1 million to 10 millions, what is the most thing that they get wrong about? A lot.
No, it's another one of those like, let me filter the 50 things into something. When you're scaling, I mean, to me, our strategy, we haven't hit 10 yet.
Yeah, but we'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Soon.
Very soon, tomorrow. I think reinvesting is the most important thing, because the world is so, we just talked about dynamics, right? The world is so dynamic. If you're not growing, you're dying. And so to me, the way that you grow is that you invest in knowledge, you invest in technology, You invest in
People.
human capital and, to a degree, facilities. That's where you create your environment for the people and the technology and the client experience. We celebrate our wins as a team.
Yes.
I think it's the investment part.
Yeah.
So we're looking at projects, and we're already working on some now, but we're looking to have more very large opportunities.
Yeah.
And as a part of that, you have to have the infrastructure in place.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And you have to be prepared to deploy. And when you're scaling, at least in my business, in our industry, you have to have access to capital.
Yes.
And so the banks are going to look at you and say, how are you growing? What are your expenses? How are your expenses growing? And profitability. And so, that tells a story to folks who are going to be looking to give you capital that you're going to need to scale the company.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking, first of all, you got to make margin, of course.
Yes.
As long as you have steady margin, as long as you still have some margin that you can speak to, what are you doing with that margin?
Yeah.
You know,
yes, that's true. So that's just why I think on the market there's like always like there online people always put out like a lifestyle of entrepreneurs. You fly to the beach or like in Bali or somewhere, enjoy the trip. That is great, but I think that's business model is more like lifestyle model.
Yeah.
It's mean that like one or two people or a couple people on the team, that's it. They don't actually intend to scale with like to big company. Mm-hmm. And to work like towards scaling big company, it actually requires a lot of like human capital and real capital financing so that you can fund for like infrastructures, system, technology, and human to actually do like multiple things at once and a bigger scale. And the people who work so much to scale the company, normally not always like they don't go like that, like lifestyle business. So then people make the real impression that say like, oh, business owners, you always have this fancy way of living. But the truth is that that's not true.
It's a trap.
Yeah.
It's a trap, I think. And it also speaks to the culture too, right?
Yeah.
Like if the owner is like shiny all the time and your people are going to see you're shiny, are you doing that for your people? And if you're doing that for your people, that's diminishing your margins. And so for me, I think about it, like you said, from a lifestyle standpoint, but then also think about it from a future-proofing standpoint.
Yeah.
Because AI continues to be in the conversation. And in my mind, there's going to be a massive amount of consolidation because if you're not investing in your company to be more efficient, AI is the maximum level of efficiency that has ever been known. Yeah. And every industry is going to have that wave come through. And if you can't operate at a certain level of efficiency, then you're not going to be able to compete.
It is. Well,
that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah. So last night I had some research about AI. I know there's some couple of markets gap on the market relate to accounting. Mm-hmm. And I asked myself, I need to learn about writing code, and I laugh at myself. But there is certain like market gap that if we don't do those things, eventually the AI will take over all this.
And that's also going back to the earlier point, why it's important to have a feedback loop.
Yeah.
Because I'm of a generation, when I was coming out of college, like nanotechnology was like mind-blowing technology.
Yeah.
And cell phones, and like when I first started college, like cell phone was a big technology.
Yeah.
Me trying to dive into the details of AI, I'm going to do it to a degree, but like some of the folks that are in school and coming, they're learning in depth what this stuff is. And so there's an exchange of knowledge that needs to happen between senior and junior level folks to figure out how we harness their knowledge and their perspective, things of that nature. It's going to feed into marketing. It's going to feed into so many elements of business. It becomes important to not have that blind spot, not have that feedback loop, but then also stay on the front end of that, or as much of the front end as feasible, because that's the efficiency level that's going to come through almost every industry and business.
So what is one system or structure that you think like every business should be like put into place?
Structure from a standpoint of human capital. Tell me.
I mean, like human capital or operation system that you think this is very fundamental, that people cannot get that wrong.
Yeah, I think that technology has come through and taken over everything. And so now it's almost like from analog to digital.
Yeah.
Like you used to have a wave and now you got a 1 and a 0.
Yeah.
I feel like that ties to today's times where you have 5 options of systems.
Yeah.
And then you got to figure out how to customize it to your industry. Then you got to figure out how to customize it to yourself. And that's really something that I'm trying to figure out. I think obviously financial systems is going to be critical.
Yeah.
And you know better than I do how many of those are. And then there's operating systems that are going to lay on top of that so that you can understand the impacts of your revenue and expenses at your operational level.
Yes.
And I think to me, that is the key way that gets you to a level of sophistication that is reminiscent of publicly traded companies that have a requirement to disclose what's happening financially with the company.
Yes.
And then again, if you're talking about lending institutions, if you're trying to go IPO, if you're trying to sell your company, if you're trying to bring on partners, there's a level of stewardship that you have to be able to understand to be able to evaluate. Again, I don't watch a lot of TV, but one of the things that I do watch quite a bit is Shark Tank.
Yes.
And my daughters, and they like it too. And so we sit on Friday night sometimes and we watch Shark Tank and just looking at how they're quickly assessing a company. There's certain metrics, where if it's in hotels, it's RevPAR. It's typically revenue based on operations. And so figuring out how you create the metric around whatever it is that you produce.
Measures.
Exactly. And so layering whatever that system is that calculates that rate is really how you master the level of quality of your earnings. But then you got to also tinker with how you deliver that. And then so there may be a system that says you got to enter the data into the system and add these graphics. But it starts with the numbers. You have to have a business proposition and understand what the value is, what the gap is you're solving for. But then as soon as you start solving for that, and if you're not going to be a self-employed entrepreneur and you want to have a team, you have to be able to figure out the recipe and the playbook for that.
Yes. In 5 years, you will achieve all the vision and dream that you have for your company. Tell us, what does it look like?
Oh, my goodness. What does it look like for the company? It looks like I'm a level 5 leader. I have created a level of leadership in the organization that doesn't require my daily involvement.
Yeah.
I'm still involved, of course, but I've successfully been able to create that.
Yeah.
I've established my nonprofit and doing a lot more philanthropic work and really, really focusing more on community impact.
Yeah.
And 5 years from now, let's see, my youngest will be in high school. My oldest will be going to college. So I'll be figuring out where they're going to college. And
they have so much more free time.
Oh my God.
Like all parents manage to take care of the family, know that. Suddenly all your kids go to school, go to university and say like, now I have so much time, what I do?
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. You don't need to like school bus. You don't need like sport activity. You don't need like...
I'm hoping that I'm a dance dad. I'm hoping that, I'm not hoping, whatever they want to do, I'm fully supportive of it, as long as it's productive, of course.
Yeah.
I'm a dance dad, and it seems like my oldest is really leaning in on that. So maybe she'll be performing. She's performed on almost every major stage in the city. Maybe she'll expand that.
Next time you need to like, when she performing, advise me. I would love to come.
Nutcracker, she's in it. So anyway, maybe I'll travel and go see her dance and stuff. In 5 years.
Oh, how proud.
So that'll be fun. But yeah, it's really about other people in 5 years. I mean, it is today, but it'll be even more so because that's really what I care about. I think that entrepreneurship, I'm not flying to the beach on a jet or anything. I'm driving. I do a lot of road trips.
I know you don't like to fly. So.
But it does afford some flexibility that I enjoy. But again, I don't need but so much. And so for me, it's really about the impact of what I can do for others. And so that's creating career path opportunities for people who have the capability and have proven that they can execute and do the same thing for the next
generation
set of team members that are going to come through. I think we're going to be geographically very diverse.
Yes.
And we're going to be top billing as far as ranks in the industry will be there, and we'll be creating a level of leadership that's going to allow for the continuation of excellence and support on some of the biggest and best projects in the country.
That's just wonderful. So my last question is, if you come back to Paul on day one, what is your one advice to him?
Day one starting the company, my advice would be to keep a set of advisors close and have a cadence around engagement in that group of folks, and don't be afraid to add or take away as necessary.
And more people to like advise you.
Yeah, so I base that on a scripture quote: "In the multitude of counsel, there is safety." So I've always kind of put myself in a place where I can hear from a lot of different perspectives, whether I agree with them, whether they're
different from you.
Exactly. I prefer that.
Yes.
I prefer that. I put myself in environments where it doesn't matter. As long as there's a level of experience and context that's rooted in experience and like a level of accomplishment. It doesn't matter to me what anything else. Have you been in that space? Can you tell me from experience that you've been in that space?
Yeah.
Everything else doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. So to me, I'm always looking for that other vantage point that's not traditional. I like the traditional, that's great, but I like every aspect of it because there's wisdom in so many different vantage points, especially that's not in the traditional. Like my career path, I don't think has been traditional because I've looked at untraditional things to get certain levels of skills and perspective and context. And like some of the best ideas, some of the best innovations in industries come from other industries, not from the expert of that particular industry. So that's how I view my career and now the company, is to surround myself with people. I was in a thought leadership group. One of the people in the group is a freight forwarding service. And so when you talk about supply chain,
yes,
he can speak to it very specifically.
Yes.
And I get tons of intel as to how to think about project schedules because I'm talking to people like that, right? So I think that there's a ton of value in expanding your circle beyond the traditional industry expertise, because innovation comes from, I've gotten innovation and thoughts from sitting at the dinner table and listening to my kids talk.
Yeah.
Right. So it can come from anywhere. And so just be receptive to that and add and take away. I don't know that I've ever taken away, but there's seasons, I guess, for when you go to certain people, and then maybe that can come back around later. But that would be my advice to day one startup, Paul.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think like you just nail it in the way that this is so important as a human being and also a business owner or entrepreneur. We all have a weakness and blind spots, and by surrounding with people who have a different perspective, industry experience, and they enrich your knowledge, your thought, and your mind, and the way that you do business. And once you do that, it's guaranteed for you. There's certainly no guarantee in business at all. With people always want guarantee,
right.
But there's a certain point you know you will avoid the debt situation. Not doing your business in the way, because you can learn from other people's experience.
Absolutely.
So what I love about this conversation with Paul is that proving scaling is not just for the sake of scaling. Is the real that you integrated between high impact with discipline, with perspective, with leadership, and with building something that lasts. And from the leading the process project that work $4 billion in assets for this city to advising university, housing, healthcare, and nonprofits, Paul has just seen so much firsthand what works and what is not working for organization. And what stood out is that the principle he applied to any, and I think it can apply to any business, that is whether you run the project or like just start a company or creative agency. That is where your leadership, your human capital, your relationship and connection with other people is very important and essential for your business. So the advisory group is having the community in DC and beyond to think bigger and like execute smarter and deliver with excellence. And so if you enjoy the conversation today or you want to learn more from his company and his feedback and his guidance in the business and entrepreneur, make sure that you click the link on his website and also like connect with him through LinkedIn. And I'm just so grateful for Paul's time and wisdom and share today. And thank you for listening. I'm looking forward towards the next couple episodes. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona.
Yeah.